Hello, everyone. This is Jolanda,
Olivia.
and we're here with another episode of Life and Cookies, where we take a bite out of life's challenges. Yeah, we do. We take a bite out of the cookie of life, one bite at a time. Whatever. It's clever. It's done. So today's topic is really going to be interesting, at least for us. And that is my knowledge and or information is not free. AKA, for those who own their own businesses, I don't work for free. So, Olivia, have you ever had any instances where someone attempted to get your knowledge for free, either your knowledge, your current knowledge base as an entrepreneur, or from your past career as a teacher? So, has that happened to you?
Of course, all the time.
All the time.
As an educator, I've had many people try to pick my brain for certain things, which I have no problem you picking my brain for ideas or things like that, because I'm happy to share and help you with an issue or something when it comes to what I was in love with was math. So I have no problem with that. But for me to completely teach you or tutor you or do any of that stuff without compensation, I have an issue with. And then now me as a full-time entrepreneur and doing both of my businesses, when it comes to the sexual health, I have no problem giving it freely to a general public, like on my social media, or like when we're just talking with girlfriends, just girlfriend talk. But when you're asking me like something that we need to have a sit down, me, you, your partner, and really have that conversation,
like a consultation,
a full consultation, then we need to sit down, plan a day, you sign a contract, and I'm going to get paid for what I went back to school for. So yes, I've had that all the time. It's kind of annoying because, as I said, I paid for an education. Right. And it's like you going to your surgeon who's going to take out your gallbladder. He went to school, did his rotations, did all this stuff, and you're like, man, you know what? Don't worry about cutting me open. If you just direct me while I'm laying on the table, I'll cut it open. I'll pull out my own gallbladder, sew myself back up, but you just got to direct me.
So, like, for real? With that, do you find or do you think that the people who are approaching you for free, quote unquote, services, that they're doing it because they don't respect you, or do you think that they're doing it just because they know that you know them personally, you have a personal relationship with them, and they figure they can exploit that to basically get you to work for free? What do you see with that?
Both.
Both?
Both. Okay. I definitely see people who are quote unquote, as my fingers do, quote unquote, your associates or friends. They do try to exploit that. They're like, oh girl, you know, we cool. No, I still had to pay to put this in my brain, and I'm going to have you pay for me to pull this out my mouth. Otherwise, you go do your own research. You go out and do your own thing. Like, I research the things that I post, the things that I tell people in my own research and my study, and I'm not giving it for free unless it's something I want to give for free. Then people who, I'm going to say, they don't respect a female I'm going to say this, a
All right.
female African American
Well, you say it.
entrepreneur.
I won't have to then.
So that is where the other part comes in.
Mm-hmm.
Um, a lot of people still have the mindset of a man being an entrepreneur. They're going
Right.
to pay a man to be an entrepreneur. A lot of people, especially in the African American community, feel that a female African American entrepreneur is really something not to respect,
Not
with
necessarily respect, but it's a novelty. It's
a novelty.
like we had discussed. This is my second trip into being an entrepreneur, newer. And on my first one, which I had the Identicare franchise, several people, like in my circle, really were shocked when I said that this was my business. They just made the assumption that it was my husband's business and I was just the worker bee. I was like, no, it's mine. It's in my name. It's under me. He came with me to assist me. And it was a shock like, oh, what you started your own business? Yes. You're actually running it pretty much on your own? Yes. Oh, I just thought it was something you were doing on the side. No, this is what I do. Just like you get up and go to work, this is what I do. And
And that, oh,
mhm.
sorry, I
No, go
didn't
ahead.
mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
And that goes back to the mindset of a person who is broke and wealthy or poor and wealthy.
Okay.
Most people grow up in a family that if it's average middle class, that your parents worked until they retired. There was no really, I'm going to start my own business. I'm going to do some other things. I'm going to always work for someone else, get their benefits, do all of that stuff. That is more of a poor man's mentality. That's why you lived more paycheck to paycheck. You did all of those things, where wealthy people, their mindset is, I am going to run my own business to leave a legacy for my family. I'm going to run my own business so that I have time to spend with my family. I am going to run my business so that I can make what I deserve to make, and not because you told me this is how much per hour I need to get, and this is all I'm going to pay you, instead of you being paid your worth. And I think that a lot of people are still in that mindset, or if they are doing their own entrepreneurial business, it's always a side hustle, quote unquote.
Oh, I hate that. Oh,
And
I hate
side
that word.
hustles mean it's a hobby to most
It
people.
is a hobby. We kind of went back and forth on that a few months ago with saying that I always hustle, and I was like, no, I don't like that. You create opportunities, and I know we also have a friend in common who she swears, my father was a hustler, my mother was a hustler, and I'll be a hustler. And I'm like, no, you don't want to always be a hustler, because a hustler never stops. You're always striving and pulling, and you're never comfortable. You never get to slow down. You never get to enjoy life, because you're always hustling and trying to figure it out. So thank you for bringing that up. That's a big term, not just in African American families and community, but in most, I'm going to say most ethnic people that I know, different ethnicities, different nationalities, but most brown people. We like to say that, I'm going to get my hustle on. And I'm like, no, just you're going to create an opportunity, and you're going to work it to the best of your ability. And then you're going to move on to another project if that one doesn't work out. But what were you about to say?
No, I was going to say, you are right. A couple of months we did have this conversation, and it took me really sitting down. I had to actually, and I never told you this, I actually sat down and meditated on this to see, is that the reason why people didn't respect what I did? Because in my mind, it was a side hustle, even though I was doing it full time. it started out in my mind as a side hustle versus this is my business. And yes, I work full time.
I never knew that.
So yeah, that's what I'm telling you now. So once I finished meditating on it, I had to realize that I had to pull out in my mindset that this is my business that I'm going to nurture. And I have two separate businesses.
Right.
They're not two separate side hustles. They're two separate businesses that involve the same thing, which is being an intimacy and sexual health coach. So I need to make sure that my portrayal of this is always my business and never my side hustle.
Yeah, because your mindset is how it's going to be played out. If you, like I said, I never knew that you considered what you did a side hustle. I would have said something, but again, that's ideology you have to come to within yourself. No one else can tell you, don't say this, don't say that. They can advise you on it, but you have to come to that on your own. And so thank you. I'm glad that that disagreement brought some sunshine into your life.
Well, we really didn't disagree. It was just that
you didn't see your face.
It was just that I had at that point, I still had the poor mindset. And even after all of my personal development and things like that, I really had to look at everything that I've learned, everything that I've talked about. It was still a mindset of a paycheck to paycheck type of life. And I can't have that mentality. And most people still have that mentality. And that's why it's so rare to see people own their own businesses that are successful, because most of them are like, okay, yeah, this is my business, but then I'm going back and getting another job just in case this business doesn't work. Instead of saying, no, I'm going to work this business to make it work.
I agree with you 80%, and 20% I kind of understand that sometimes you have to get that little job, if you need to eat, but you make sure that it's not something that you're going to prioritize above yourself and your dream.
And so I agree with that, because
I get that, because I've been toying with that one myself, and I stopped myself because I knew that the job I was going to get would require me to give 40 hours a week, and I would be tired. And I wouldn't be able to pursue what it is I need to pursue. So what I did was just tighten the belt, and I gave up some things to find the funds to continue to grow. So,
and I'm glad you said that, because both of us are married. So what would you say then to those people who are not in a relationship when they have a partner or don't have a partner's support? What would you say to them to help them keep going?
What I would say then is you need to, in that case, especially, okay, if it's just you, if you're a single person, male or female, with no children, and it's just you can step out on that ledge, because you can get bound ramen and you could figure it out. You can sleep on someone's couch if need be. You can figure it out. If you have someone dependent upon you, someone innocent who didn't ask to be here and they need to be fed, clothed, and sheltered, then you need to have your backup plan. I would say don't quit your job or a career, because some people's careers are, still their backup plan, until you have gotten to where you have totally replaced that income or exceeded it. Or some people even have the flexibility to put aside enough money previously and then quit, and live off of that. Always plan, you and I, we have help. Not everyone has help. And it's not a knock against your spouse or my spouse. Sometimes your help isn't help. So you can't even always depend upon that. because we have other things to take care of. We have